Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're going to keep wrenching on the 70 Camaro, so you're not going to want to miss it. This is Costino Garage. All right, we got this bad boy on the lift, doing some of the rear brake line stuff. We got steel braided lines coming from both of the new calipers, sort of feeding it through the 4-link. Ran this dash 3AN fitting, made a little bracket for it, bolted it to the rear end. Then got this line with plenty of flex for suspension travel. Then got this bracket here to adapt to the hard line, and then I'm waiting on a fitting because the fitting I have is too short. I need a longer tube nut for that, and then all this will be good. Then I'll mount this down and all that is good to go. So then we'll throw fluid in this. Once I get this fitting, we'll prime everything up, and then this bad boy will have brakes. And of course this irritates me. This got a little wet and I did not paint it yet, obviously, because now it's rusted. So now I gotta clean it up and paint that. She's coming along. All right, so the last thing you guys saw was the brakes. Everything is all routed. Brakes are all in, front, rear, all that stuff. Just having a weird issue with bleeding the brakes with my pneumatic bleeder. It's not sucking the fluid. So we're gonna have to do a manual bleed, which takes 2 people, which kind of sucks, but I think that's what this is gonna have to require. However, I don't have a second person on me right now, so we're gonna move on to something else. Okay, so we're at the other shop and we're gonna start working on sort of the ignition electrical component panel that I'm gonna run. I'm gonna run this behind the firewall passenger side. So I got this sheet of aluminum. I got my MSD ignition stuff, solid state relay, the box, the coil, and then also I wanna run this deal probably somewhere like here. So it's gonna be a little tight. Have all the ignition stuff, relays, and then the fuse box right here. And then I'm gonna wanna tuck in all the wires, probably have them either all go out the same hole, like around here with the grommet, so all the wiring is nice and clean, so you don't see much, because as you guys know from previous videos and stuff like that, I am very OCD with wiring, so I do not wanna see any wires. So we're gonna make this as clean as we can. But before we do anything, we gotta clean some edges, filing, and then of course, look, carbon fiber. We gotta make this thing pretty before we do anything else with it. So let's get it. Okay, all the edges have been cleaned, filed, no sharp edges or things to prick you or cut you. So we're gonna give this thing a good cleaning, and then let's wrap this sucker. All right, now that we're somewhat respectable, I only had a little bit of grappa left, so I had to use 2 pieces. Okay, so now we need to figure out the layout of all this stuff. And the black really makes this red pop. Look at that, you can already tell how good this is gonna look. Actually, this is gonna go up here. And then this is essentially the layout I want. And so this will give room for the wiring to come here, maybe turn, and maybe exit right here. And then we got the harness that I'll plug in. Harness is in this box. Plug this in so I can kind of see how much room I need between the box and the coil to give room for the harness to come down. All the holes have been drilled, see, for all the components, we have the vibration mounting hardware here. It's very vital that you run these little bushing mounts. Most of the time they come with the parts. I had to get the ones for the ignition box separately, but it's very crucial that you run those over time. All the vibration does brutal damage to these things, so you want to run a cushion in between to give your electronics the longest life as you can. All right, so now it is time to mount the hardware onto this bad boy and then throw the electronics on and see how it all comes out. Everything is mounted, rubber. I had to improvise a little bit on the solid state. As you can see, there is rubber in there. I had to use some rubber grommets instead of these. I thought these would work. These are for the coil. However, the mounting bolts were not the same thread and I didn't have other bolts that would work. So I said, you know what? Use the bolt and nut that came with it and then just improvise with a different rubber setup. And hey, all right, we got the fuse box mounted. Of course, I had to rubber mount that too. Why not? Everything's gonna be rubber mounted. Had to support the weight of all these wires over here so it's not yanking on this box while we're setting it up. But everything is there, nice and organized. So this I'm just gonna wrap and it's gonna just go down one ring clean. Maybe I'll loop it back up around or something so it's not just, obviously this is just a whole harness so it's gonna look like a mess. But for the wire cabling for this and this, I'm torn between just making these wires all come together and have an exit here with a grommet and have this and this harness sort of exit together, but that's going to be kind of a tight bend. So what I originally wanted to do was have this and this kind of meet and then travel down to about here and then have an exit hole with a grommet. All right, panel is all done, mounted. I wired up the coil and ran the rest of the harness down through this hole with a grommet I got made. Came out pretty nice. So now I'm wondering if I have enough room for the rest of this wire. Probably not. So I'm probably gonna make another hole right here in the center for all of these wires to exit. Hey guys, you ever work on something for hours and then after a little bit of staring at it, you don't like it and you just gotta start over? That's what I had to do here. So I finished the panel on the electrical components and I didn't like it, so I redid it. So this is what it looks like now. I think it's a whole lot better. Carbon fiber all in one piece, did high gloss carbon fiber, looks great. Heat shrunk all of the cabling through here, and I am still gonna run the fuse panel. It's over here. I'm gonna still mount that here and then run the cables down. So I think this looks way better. Just gotta wipe off all the fingerprints and stuff once I'm done mounting the fuse panel, and I'm still gonna run all these lines to like a center point here. So I think it looks way better. Short little video today just to get that set up. So I'm gonna button this up and then we're going to mount it in the car. I already started some of the underlayment material for sound deadening and a little bit of thermal protection as well. So we are going to mount this panel up in there. We're gonna mount that, continue running all this deadening material all throughout, and then we could continue rocking with the wiring. I also got the rest of the fuel system here. I got the lines, the hardware, filters, pump, and rest of the stuff's in here. So we're gonna working more on the interior. We're gonna set up the pump, lines, electrical, interior underlayment, all that stuff you're gonna check out in the next video. You're not gonna wanna miss it. This is Costino Garage.